Welcome to Wake Up Epic. This is an epic experience of orientation, and specifically, it's about the safety being you in your body. Might be other things that you want to be safe with. You might want to be safe with your branding, with your business, with your partner, with a friend, with something else in the world. That's great too. What we're going to do is look at the embodied story of the second hexagram, which is really pure yin and pure yin. So it's a story of yin, and we're going to look at what that means and how that opens up some patterns that we can play with in our own embodiment. Then we're going to look at 4 possibility statements. And the second hexagram, when we look at the embodied story, it's very much about being safe in our body. So if there is something that challenges you when it comes to being safe in your body, anything from memories, thoughts, and emotions to something in the world, you're absolutely in the right place to get a really great tool and have a big breakthrough and shift. And we'll finish with just a little bit of silence as we practice the movement. You have the space to just take the practice to where you need to take it. And that ends up being very, very rich. So we'll finish with a few minutes of reflection. And that is our waking up epic for today. So the second hexagram, the top trigram is yin, 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 which suggests that from a place of being neutral, we're going to shift back into our body, turning our attention to ourselves. I know I'm on the video, so you can watch me for a minute just to get it, and do it with me as you shift back to yourself, down a bit, and narrow. So the body position in UZAZU, we call this sponge. And sponge is a way to say, I'm choosing to be here now with me. And it's pretty silent. There's not a whole lot to do. Let go of that, step back into neutral. The bottom trigram is actually the same. So let's try it again. It's back, down, and narrow. If we were on the floor, this might be like child pose. This is also like being in a fetal position. Our body wants to curl up both from a place of protection and defense, but also a way to go in. And it helps calm our mind down. And then let that go, come out, back to neutral. That's the basic body posture, both the top and the bottom. So then what's the embodied story? We start with the top. We say, okay, the world and the context is this mind-body state of sponge. So in a world where it's safe to be within ourselves, in a world where it's safe to feel anything. In that world, then we look at the bottom trigram. I choose. We take the part. We play our part. So in a world where it's safe to feel, I choose to be safe to feel. And then we move back into the world. So from the place of I'm choosing, we contribute back to a world that is safe. So we're really doubling down on these themes of safety, of feeling, and of awareness. In a world of awareness, I have awareness, and I contribute to other people having awareness. It's really the embodied, in an essence, the embodied story of the second. Now, 2 other layers I want to bring in. Well, 3 actually. First of all, as I say these, stay sponging your experience. So stay very present to your own bodily sensations, more than normal. From a Gene Keys perspective, we're looking at the shadow of dislocation and the gift of orientation. So what is orientation? Well, before we started recording, Marian asked, where are you in the world? What time is it there? So I'm going to ask you these orienting questions. They help us locate ourselves in time and space. And so sometimes if we're feeling a bit out of sorts, dislocated, not at home in ourselves, if we ask ourselves a time or space question, we orient ourselves. So you're all on mute. What's your name? Marian. Where in the world are you? What time is it there? And then again, feel your body and notice if those 3 questions had contributed any shift to you, feeling just a little more in your body or with your body. So dislocation and orientation. So what is then dislocation from an embodied point of view? Well, it's basically saying, no, I'm not going to go into myself. No, I'm not going to drop down and feel the support of the ground. And no, I'm not going to narrow my focus and be safe in the situation. So try this just a couple times very lightly. It's like saying no, like, no, I'm not going to, as you come in to sponge. So your body's like, hey, I want to settle down. And some reason is saying no. So raise your hand if that felt uncomfortable. Yeah. And now let's smooth it out. Just like you would take an iron to a wrinkled shirt, come back into sponge, but just land and say, give yourself a yes to being safe within your body. Okay, and then let that go. The second idea here I had to bring in, from the human design perspective, the second gate says, or the second hexagram says, this gate is the energy of the driver of the self. So we think of driving the self as very active, like I'm going to go make something happen. And yet sponging, inner experience, safety, is being offered here as a driver of the self, which I think is a really, really interesting piece. And it says that the irony is that while you may have little awareness of your own direction, you're a great guide to others. So think about someone coming to you and saying, I need help. And you have 2 options to make things a little, to give you something to compare. One option is, I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to give you my advice. Try that. Kind of come forward. Imagine I'm right now representing someone who needs some help and direction, and you're like, I know the answer for you. Or let's go back and sponge. In a world where we trust everyone's inner experience, I'm going to be with my inner experience with this person. And so now we have this objectivity. It's like, it's not about me and my ego. And yet we can be present in our body. We can handle any sensation, right? The person could be going through grief or success, and we're not going to get jealous, and we're not going to get brought into their trauma. So sponging can really help with that. The last piece is just from a purely biological, physiological trauma perspective. When working with trauma, whether it's from somatic experiencing or UZAZU or EFT and tapping, we're looking to feel the sensations we're unwilling to feel. And it's in feeling the sensations we're unwilling to feel that lets things change, lets things heal. So with all that in mind now, we're going to do a few rounds of moving through sponge for the sake of orienting ourselves in our lives. If you have an object around you, I've got $500 here to represent money and all the ways that money can cause dislocation. If you have an object with you or an idea or a goal, bring it to mind, bring it and hold it. And we'll use this because the moment you have that object physically or in mind, you may be feeling some dislocation, it's not totally okay to be in the body, which is great. That's your strength training for today. If you don't have an object, then bring something to mind. Since we're not really moving, we're staying in sponge, I want to add one highlight, and that is really notice your breath, because the breath is going to let you feel like you're pulsing in and out of it. I'll give you some movement. Okay, so here we go. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And turn off the volume for your timer and settle down into your body, back down and narrow into sponge. Notice your breath pulsing you larger and smaller. Make room to be aware of any sense of dislocation. Dislocation just being a sense of dis-ease or unease in your body. Bring your awareness to the object in your hands or the object in your awareness. Observe what impact that has on your body and sensations. One more breath. I'll be dropping 4 possibility statements in. You can repeat them, you can change them, and you can just think them. You can't do this wrong. I can feel safe and comfortable and relaxed being in my body. I can feel safe and comfortable and relaxed being in my body. And you can add with the object, with this possibility, if you like, with this money. Notice how and if your body is changing, shifting. Second possibility statement, slightly different. I'm willing to feel all the physical sensations in my body. Notice if there's any desire to like leave the sponginess or leave your own experience. I'm willing to feel the physical sensations in my body. With this object I'm attending to. Check to see if there's any way that there's a no or a resistance showing up in your experience. Our third possibility, I can be safe experiencing my feelings and emotions. I can be safe experiencing my feelings and emotions. Is there any sensation that you're resisting? any part of this experience that makes you want to exit the experience. See if you can at least lean into that with your awareness, with some compassion, if not physically. Last possibility. It's going for the positive. We're going to aim for the extreme of the positive. I can feel vibrant and alive and amazing. I can feel vibrant, alive, and amazing. There might be some form of a collapse or a resistance to the amazing, as if you're collapsing into sponge, but in almost like a negative way. So these last few moments, see if you can almost transform any sort of collapsing into a conscious like in. You're controlling it, rolling with it. Almost like an insecure black hole that got hired by Steven Spielberg to play the world's best black hole in the universe. It's like, oh, I can do that. Well done. Set your object down. If it's a mental, emotional object, release it, come to neutral, move your body left, right, up, flex your spine, undulate your spine. As our final integration, we're going to go from one extreme to the other. The one extreme that we've been doing is sponge. In a way, why do this? Why orient ourselves? So that we can be of service, so that we can come into the world in a new way, in a way that's more whole. So just about 5 times, I'll do this on my screen so you can see forward and back, but you can just face the screen. I'm going to shift back into that sponge, and then in any way that feels correct, forward, up, and out. It can be a little bit, it can be a lot. And then from there, touch back on sponge, almost like you're refueling, and then back any way you like. See if you can be surprised by your body as you come forward. One to two more times. And having touched both ends, we're going to finish it, cherry on top with those same 3 orienting questions. Say it out loud if you're willing to. What's your name? Where are you in the world? What time is it? Great. Well done. That completes our movement practice. Now there's an opportunity to name, to claim any kind of insight or anything about your experience. if you'd like to, you'll just unmute yourself and say what you want to say. It's sort of to be witnessed. It's to consolidate the completion of this experience for yourself, but also to contribute what you experience to others. My only request is keep it short, kind of land the movement with some key words. And then if you're watching this later, this is a great opportunity to say things out loud. What did you claim? What did you notice? And also write anything down that you like. So for example, for me, all I want to claim is just like the power of the spinal flexion, just feeling the very landed in that.
Okay.
Alex, for me, I was comfortable. I feel every time I went inside, I really feel like I had to, it's so easy to do this, but to do that turning the direction of to same way, I have not considered this. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, I'd like to go next. So my object was work related, and this practice has showed me just another nuance of me being a victim of the job that I choose.
Thanks, Gabriel.
Thank you.
Hi. The object I had was writing my biographical memoir book, and I felt the contraction when I was holding it, and doing the movement, and just there was some pain that came up, and just being with it really opened up a new space of safety within my body, that it's safe for me to share my story. And I noticed at the end when you said, "Oh, what's your name?" there was more joy, like from my beingness, because I'd given myself the space to be with all of the emotions, like from within. There was a joy when I said, "My name's Tanya," compared to the first time, the beginning, it was almost like in my head, and the quality of the tone of my voice was different. So thank you so much, Alex, for this.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And I just want to share that for me, my object represented a lot of things. It represented fun and going on vacation and possibility and being a business owner. And so every time during the first one with I can feel safe and comfortable. And so I was thinking about all those possibilities. I felt very comfortable until I thought about anything about having a company or being an entrepreneur. I didn't breathe at that moment. And so it's really interesting that I didn't realize I was having so much resistance. I wasn't even aware that I'm having some kind of resistance with it. And so that's something I need to explore some more. And also with the second one, I'm willing to feel all the physical sensations. I was thinking about other things I've been struggling with. And one of them is feeling like I am doing things to have more success. And I feel kind of guilty that I'm leaving some people behind. And when I was thinking about that and what I've been trying to figure out where that's coming from, I felt a lot of almost pain, sort of, but like in my center of my chest, kind of my heart chakra. So I think that I have to like also explore this more. Anyway, I just want to say this was great because it's helping me to pinpoint, okay, I really do have an issue, not only in my mind or emotions or ego, but it's also coming out in my body. So, but the other ones were great that I thought maybe I'd have more resistance to success or money. And that felt fine. But the other particular things is where I'm having the issue. So thank you, Alex.
You're so welcome. Thanks for naming that.
Well, for me, the quality of stagnation was very apparent, that I get that feeling, whatever it is that has not been felt is part of releasing it. And yet there seems to be this aspect of when I'm feeling it, the tendency seems to that it'll just stay there. And it's that fine line is because in order to release it, we do need to feel it fully. and yet feeling it fully in order to release it. I was riding that wave, and I don't quite know how to resolve it, but it's a worthwhile inquiry. Thank you.
Such a paradox. Thanks for saying that.
Alex, I've also noticed a lot of heat, really so much heat coming out of both hands of mine. Temperature awareness.
Yeah, me too, for sure. Thank you, Auntie. Marion?
My sense was with my object, it was an object holding the value of expression. And I noticed how I had othered this impulse in me, that it was not inside my sponge, it was out there. And being able to embrace it and have it moving with me in and out was a really wonderful insight. And again, like, oh, I don't see her on the screen, but that joy of saying my name at the end versus the kind of, you know, way of starting it was wonderful. So thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for participating in Being Epic and Wake Up Epic. Thanks for being epic. And we're going to continue doing these roughly every 6 to 7 days. Actually, for the month of May, we're doing them every Monday. So, and everyone's a little bit different, inviting you deeper into your own experience. So thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.